Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have a guest on from West Georgia Health. From the Labor and Delivery Department, I have on Carrie Gallion. Carrie, welcome to the show.
Good morning, good morning.
Well, you know, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, and you tell you're in the Labor and Delivery Department,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I am.
Talk a little bit about your role there, Carrie, for us.
Well, I have been in labor and delivery since '99. I graduated from the University of West Georgia, and I love labor and delivery. I cannot imagine myself in any other area. I went to school, knew exactly what I wanted to do, and received the SIM scholarship, worked my 1 year in another area, came to labor and delivery and said, this is the place I want to be. I got married and had 3 children, became a certified childbirth educator, and started teaching women how to have babies.
Oh my goodness.
And supporting them having babies and teaching the classes. I came on the show today to teach and talk about the classes that we taught.
Okay.
And teach
Before
about.
we get started into that, let me just
Okay.
stop you there, because you said something that was really important. You say you went to school, you knew exactly what you wanted to
Yes,
do.
I did.
Talk about how important that is, because a lot of times I think a lot of our kids, they go off and they go their freshman year, they may not have their minds made up. How important it is to kind of have a general understanding of what you want to do.
Well, very, very important. I will say this, I did go to school at first and wasn't exactly certain that I wanted to be a registered nurse, but once I did find that kind of, role, I knew that I wanted to take care of people. But once I did find that kind of role and, did the candy striping at West Georgia,
Okay.
and did the volunteer work, I did know that nursing was where I wanted to be. But through preceptorship and mentorship, I knew that labor and delivery was the area I wanted to go into.
Very
But finding a role and knowing that you want to be a nurse is something that I, strongly emphasize people going in and doing some of the volunteer work, because it's a long day. It's somewhere that you need to be sure that you want to be active in and that you want to be on your feet. You need to have good math skills, computer skills. You need to know that it's not going to be a place where you're going to sit on your desk time all day, because you're going to be up moving around. You need to have empathy for people. You need to know that you want to care about somebody, and that you got to care about family members, and you've got to care about a team of people that you have to work for and work with. And so teamwork's a big thing too. So yeah, certainly you've got to kind of think about those things when you're going into nursing school.
Very good. And I wanted to, before we got into the programs
Right.
that you wanted to talk about, because it's so important to our young people, and I heard one word, a good word, and you said volunteer.
Right.
All the time when you go out and you volunteer, you get a better understanding of these jobs and the careers, and you can see if it is a match for you, though. Well, very good. Thanks for sharing that with us too, Carrie. And I would just want to, because you're here to talk a little bit about some of the things that West Georgia Health offers, and particularly there's a class that's coming up, teen pregnancy class.
Yes.
Talk
yes.
about that a little bit for us, Carrie.
Okay. Well, through the state of Georgia, we received a grant, and District 4 Health provided that for us. And with my colleague Brooke Kinney, we're going to be putting on a teen pregnancy class. And it's going to be on April 20th, and it's going to be for teenagers that are pregnant from the ages 12 to 19 years old. It's going to be, like I said, at the Women's Health Center and the Education Room. It's a free class. Registration can be found on our website. It's www.wghealth.org, or we have a number that you can call, which can be found on the website. And what it's going to be is going to be for teenagers that are pregnant, like I mentioned, and there's going to be lots of topics. They can find out about labor, delivery, recovery, postpartum. We're also going to have nutrition. Denise Blanton's going to come and talk about that. We're going to have community programs. The First Step educator is going to come and talk about lots of community programs that are offered. We're also going to talk about like I said, nutrition and also breastfeeding. Our lactation consultant, Lynn Cleveland's going to come. We're going to have infant safety and the SIDS information, as well as a car seat program person, Ashley Maxwell, come. We're going to do newborn stations where they can go and learn how to do umbilical cord care, diapering, and other kind of taking care of your baby in little stations. We're going to talk about birth control to help keep the teen pregnancy rate lower for these teenagers. We're also going to go over other things and also do a tour of West Georgia Health, and so they can go and see what the birthing unit looks like, what the nursery area looks like, what the bedroom on the OB floor will look like, where the cafeteria is at the hospital, where the waiting rooms are, and things like that. So they'll get to see that as well.
Okay.
There'll be some videos as well that they'll see of a birth, and then we're going to have a little fun, kind of like a little party at the end with a certificate that they received. Meals will be provided while they're there. And I hope people will be encouraged to come and support the class.
Okay.
We have a couple of spots available still.
Well, very good. And that's April the 20th.
April the 20th.
Okay,
It'll be from 9 till around 5 o'clock.
9 to 5. That's what I was about to ask. All right, very good. And you said that the age group that you're focusing on is from 12 to 19.
12 to 19.
And Carrie, you may not be able to answer this, but do we see a lot of teens in that age range?
We do.
Okay.
Georgia is one of the higher on the scale in the United States of teen pregnancies. And so we're trying to reduce that, and we're trying to educate the population through this grant that we received.
Very good. You know, it's such an important thing that we help our young people to know, and especially when you're talking about as young as 12 years of age.
That's correct.
They're only a child themselves.
That's right. That's right.
And even at 19, you hopefully that you're getting ready to complete high school, go into college, and start your life, and you have another life that you have to be concerned about. Well, so we're definitely hoping that people will come out and take full advantage of those classes there.
Yes.
And you mentioned some other people, and child safety seat, you know, was one of the things that I heard, and you know, nutrition is so important that all of those things go hand in hand with, you know, new children when they come on the scene. And then I think there's going to be some other classes that you guys are going to be offering.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I heard the one called Lamaze, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Brooke, Kenny, and I teach 2 classes. We teach a prepared childbirth class, which is a Saturday seminar, and that's open for all women who are pregnant and their support person.
Okay.
The class is $50, and it's from 8 till around 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
These are done about every 6 weeks, and the information is at the local health department. It's at the Troup County Parks and Recs, and at all the physicians' offices that offer OB care.
Okay.
And they're also at the hospital. And you can also find that on the website. And registration is available there as well. But this is a prepared childbirth seminar. It's a one-day class. It's fantastic. All the information, labor, delivery, recovery, postpartum, C-section, and the newborn care, characteristics, breastfeeding, and all of that information is provided in the class. In-depth information, and it's an interactive class. We get up, we move around, we do fun activities. It's nothing that's just sit down at the classroom all day. And we have breaks, and there's a time where you leave for lunch because it is a long day. We also do a tour of the maternal infant services area only, but they're able to see what the rooms are going to look like. We have a beautiful new unit at the South Tower, and so you're able to see what the birthing area looks like, as well as, you know, the nurses area and the newborn nursery area and the waiting area. We are loving this class. Brooke and I took over this area about a year ago. I did it for years and then stepped away for a while with children and then came back. So we really, really enjoy this one-day class. It's a really good time. We go over a lot of the pain management. We answer a lot of questions. Pain management meaning from breathing relaxation to IV therapy to even the epidural that people have lots of questions about. Several videos are also showed from a little advanced from the baby story to the epidural placement and things like that as well. And so it's a good class, and I think a lot of women would really be encouraged to take it and would find a lot of benefits from being in this class, as well as their support people from finding out lots of information.
Very good. And you say it's
So
offered,
Lamaze,
and it's offered once a month?
It's about every 6 weeks. We try to have between 4 to 6 couples in the class, and that's what we try to goal it at. And we do that in the education room also at the Women's Center. And then we offer a Lamaze class. It's a 5-week series on Thursday nights. That is from 6 to 8:30 p.m. A meal is provided, and that class is $75, and it's for couples. Same kind of scenario as far as the topics included. It goes more in depth. We go through the Lamaze principles, which is not just breathing anymore. A lot of people think it's a lot of ladies sitting around breathing, huffing and puffing with the he and the hoo.
And the father sweating.
No, and the daddy holding them.
That's right.
Breathing and relaxation is an important principle, but we go through the Lamaze practice of the 6 healthy birth practices, which is supported by the health organizations. Letting labor begin on its own. Walking and moving around. Don't be confined to a bed and stay in there. Bring in loved ones and friends and support for labor. Avoiding interventions as much as possible. We were made to give birth, and giving birth without a lot of interventions is important to you and your baby. Don't give birth on your back. Using your natural urges to push. get up and move around is still backing that up. And
So don't give birth on your back.
laying flat on your back to give birth. Sit up, let gravity help you out. Use
Okay.
what's natural to you to give birth.
Okay.
And then keeping you and your baby together. The nursery is there for support, but keeping you all together as a loved one and a unit together.
Okay.
Support, breastfeeding, and staying as a group together. Though West Georgia Health supports all of this, we encourage everyone to be together, and so we're all just kind of moving into that, back to that philosophy of keeping it all together. Rooming in, staying together.
A lot of interesting topics and subject matters there, is, as it talk about new childbirth and the Lamaze class. And the one last thing that we want to touch on before time expires, I understand that you all offer CPR classes for children.
Yes.
Talk about that for us.
Yes, we do a couple of safety training classes. We offer a BCLS class for healthcare providers.
BCLS.
And that's for everybody. That's CPR, just the major CPR that most people know about.
Okay.
It is for all. It's for healthcare providers. It is, we teach it about every 6 weeks, and it is for anyone that wants to enter the healthcare field or is already in the healthcare field and wants to be recertified. We also do a heart saver class, which is also providing the AED, which is the automated external defibrillator, the ones that you see at churches, Walmart, airports, and everything, teaching you how to use those as well as first aid. And then we're doing a safe sitter class. And the safe sitter is a babysitter training class, which is for children about 11 to 14, 15 years old. And that's an awesome class we do usually around Christmas time, and then a couple right at the beginning of summer. And safe sitter lets children be certified to be a babysitter.
Okay.
And it also offers the CPR component in it. Not a certification for CPR, but it gives them a card that lets them be certified as a babysitter. And it's great for people to pick out these children in the community to babysit their children because they've got this education.
Absolutely.
They've gone through and learned how to be better babysitters. They know what to do in an emergency. They know how to be a better business operator, because babysitting is a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably your first business.
That's right. Let me ask you, as we close out, is there a cost for this class?
There's a $50 cost,
for
including
this
your
class.
manual, your lunch, and the time, and your card.
Okay.
And for the other ones as well, because of the manual and the certification cards.
Well, very good.
And everything's on the website, www.wghealth.org.
Very good. Carried a lot of great information.
Lots of information, lots of classes.
Absolutely. We definitely hope the public will come out and take full advantage of all the things that West Georgia Health is offering.
It's lots of stuff.
Great to have you here on the
Thank
show to kind
you.
of talk about it. We definitely want to get you back on and talk about some of these afterwards.
I'd love to.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have the pleasure to sit down with two master gardeners here from our area. I have the plant sale coordinators, Vicki Anderson and also Patrick Baxton. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
It's great to be here.
Well, you know what? I think this is the first for me to sit down with master gardeners. And, I kind of like to think myself as a past gardener, growing up as a child, living on a farm, raising corn and peas and all those things. But we're here today to talk about a little bit different gardening. Is that correct?
We're an educational group.
Okay.
We do a lot of peas and corn.
Peas, okay.
Yes.
That's still important.
That's still important.
Absolutely.
We just tend to do some specialty items and we try and educate people at every turn of the road.
Okay, well, very good. And talk a little bit, because like I said, this is the first for me, if you don't mind, Vicki, talk a little bit about, other than the history, about education, talk a little bit about the history of master gardeners.
Ooh. Well, I have to let Patrick do that.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm considered a new master gardener. I've only been doing it like 3 years.
Okay.
Patrick is a lifetime member.
All right. Well, Patrick, if you don't mind.
Well, Master Gardeners actually came about as a need, and it did not start here in the state of Georgia. I believe it started in Oregon, where the offices was being diluted with calls, gardening calls, and they actually recruited some local gardeners to help, and in exchange they put them through a program that educated them, and that's how it actually began. So here in the state of Georgia, it's through the University of Georgia. You have to complete a 40-hour training program that's not only classroom but hands-on, and then you have to do a certain number of volunteer hours.
Okay.
And then you're a master gardener.
A master gardener, all right. Well, very good. When I think about gardening, I think about the what's it, old school gardening, getting out there, plowing the fields, you know, putting the seed in the ground and watching it come up. And keep, of course, pulling the weeds out of it when the weeds grow up in it and everything. But we're looking here at some other ways that we can talk about gardening. We're going to get to that in just a moment there. Now, what is the purpose of the Master Gardeners here in our community particular, Vicki?
Well, like I said, we do education. Most of our Master Gardener Association meetings are open meetings where the general public is more than welcome to attend. We have speakers that that come in, and we're constantly learning because we hire speakers from the area. They talk about whatever they're the best at, and it's just a way to keep your mind sharp and your education going forward.
Okay, well, very good. You know, and I know that you all are here today. And there's an event that's coming up that we want to get out to the general public about a Troup County Master Gardener annual plant sale and plant swap. Patrick, talk a little bit about that for us, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we've actually been doing this now. This is going to be our 11th year.
Okay.
It originated as a way for us to reach out to the public. The plants that we sell are plants that we generate ourselves. They come from our local garden. So if I've been growing a plant here in my yard for 5 years and I divide it and donate it, well, logic just says it's going to grow good in your yard too if you're in this area. So it's plants that's tried and true in our area.
Okay.
So that's a really great thing. We don't sell them at a price that you would pay at Walmart or the other places. We try to do reasonable.
Okay.
It is an outreach. We also have an area where you can bring in plants that you have and swap them for plants. So use your plants as money to get new plants, you know, because, you know, these are hard times. Times are trying. So say you've got this clump of daylilies you've been growing for 5 years and they need dividing by now. Divide it up, put one section back in that place, pot up the other 4, and bring them in and get 4 new plants for those. That's a win situation there.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, and either one of you can comment to this. Planting here in the Georgia red clay, have you found that to be challenging?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You have to check your yard. I have areas in my yard where I can just go put stuff in. And I thought, well, my whole yard's going to be this way. And I dug a hole last year. And I thought, this is a lot of work. And so I went and I poured some water in the hole. And it didn't go anywhere. So I said, okay, we're not planting here. And I put the dirt back in the hole and said, let's find another place for this plant.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that's probably, you know, like I said, being a country boy, that's probably one of the biggest challenges there. And I know that you all have some things here that we want to talk a little bit about. Talk about what the first item you have here for us there, Patrick, if you don't mind.
Okay, this is a hypertufa trough.
A hypertufa trough.
Now that's a big word.
It is.
But all it means is quick rock.
Okay.
So we make this with Portland cement, peat moss, and perlite. You don't use the sand in the concrete. So what it does, it makes a lighter weight container that also has a watering effect on the plant too. If you overwater this, the container will pull water away.
Ah, okay.
As the plant dries, if the container has water, it will give it back to the soil. So for someone who has a tendency to overwater a plant or a plant that has a tendency to rot, this is a good container to grow it in because it helps those of us who have a tendency to overwater and kill a plant. It helps moderate that tendency.
Okay.
And if you forget to water it, it helps offset that tendency too.
Okay.
So it's a good thing. For succulents, Rex begonias,
They love it.
Yeah,
any
really.
begonia in one of these pots, they're happier than I'll get out.
because they're one of those plants that will rot if it overwatered.
If overwatered.
So it sort of helps compensate for us when we make a mistake.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that you all have some cactus plants in this one, right? Now, and I guess these pots can be made in any various sizes, is that correct?
Size, shape.
Okay.
I have a child's toy chest. You've seen them shaped as a football.
Okay.
I cut the top of that off and I have football shaped planters now, half shaped. And they are so cool, especially if you plant them in your school colors.
Okay. Yeah.
Or something like that, you know. Get creative. That's the
Absolutely.
thing about. And Miss Vicki said that our organization is about education. You know, nowadays, I saw something on TV the other day that was just really amazing. They were showing one of the Great Lakes, and it was green. I mean, green from the fertilizers that had washed into the water system. So we have to make sure that we do things right, because they have effects that are a lot bigger than me
yourself.
going out putting some fertilizer on my lawn. When you look at, this can have an effect on West Point Lake.
That's right.
This can have an effect on the water we're drinking. So what we're all about is spreading the right knowledge, you know, and that's the thing. That's what your extension office is there for.
Very good. And talking about spreading the right knowledge, I know that you all not only have master gardeners, but you have some junior master gardeners. Talk about that for us a little bit, Vicki.
Okay, we have some ladies who go to, they're in 2 of our schools right now. We've expanded. We only had 1 for a long time. But they go and they teach 5th graders. These kids, wonderful children. They actually learn a lot. I've seen some of their paperwork, and I'm amazed what these kids know. They come and help us every year at our plant sale. This year we've challenged them. They're supposed to bring creative containers, and they will win a prize for whoever gets the most creative container. And we want them to recycle. So if they plant something in, say, a shoe or a cardboard box, whatever they find, and it's growing well, we're going to give them, or a bottle.
Patrick's showing some things there.
Yeah. But yeah, they're great kids. They come and help every year, and they're just a joy to be around, actually.
And these are 5th graders?
They're 5th graders.
Okay, all right, very
Get
good.
them young, start with them young.
Absolutely.
And what I think it does, it also teaches them to appreciate their environment, to realize that the actions that we take have consequences. And Miss Vicki also, she hasn't mentioned it, she's a beekeeper, which goes hand in hand with gardening also, because we're losing the bees, and if we don't have bees, the trees don't get pollinated, so we don't get our fruit.
That's right.
So, everything
Kind of
sort
overlaps
of is
and
meshed
works
together, right?
It does.
Absolutely. Well, very good. And let me go ahead. We want to talk again about the date of the show. That's going to be Saturday, April the 27th. Tell us, Patrick, where that's going to be held.
It's out at the Ag Center, which is out Hamilton Road going toward the State Patrol office. It's the Vulcan Material Road, and as soon as you turn on that, it's the brick building immediately as soon as you turn on, and that's right across from Sam Walker Drive, if someone doesn't know where that's at. We've actually had, this will be the 10th year we've had our plant sale at that location. It's a wonderful facility for the county to have available. We've had people come from Athens, from all across, coming to our plant sale, bringing in plants from the lady from UGA brought down fabulous plants that some that I'd not seen in this area before. And of course I took advantage and got to take a few of those home with me.
Well, very good.
I actually have a plant in my greenhouse now that's my souvenir from the first plant sale that we held 11 years ago.
Oh my.
A lady brought a plant in from South Georgia for identification. We have a Master Gardener's information table. So if you've got a plant, you don't know what it is, or you've got a disease on it or something, bring that in, and we've got some experts there that will try to help you solve that on the day of the plant sale.
Very interesting. Let me ask you now, we're talking about plants, but I think it will extend to vegetables and things of that nature. Is that correct?
Yes, we have tomatoes, green beans, cantaloupe, cucumbers.
Okay.
Yeah, got a few. Yeah,
Okay.
I have a whole village of vegetables growing in my backyard right now.
And important, some of those are heirloom varieties also. So
And talk about that, Patrick.
Well, the heirlooms are basically, they're the same plants that the pioneers were growing. They've not been genetically manipulated. Like we see everything hybrid. Well, if you grow a hybrid plant and you try to save seeds from it, and you grow it a second generation, you may not have the same thing.
Okay.
The heirlooms stay true to their self. If they're not cross-pollinated with something else, they will produce the same thing. The Brandywine tomato is probably the most famous heirloom tomato there is, because it's the one that wins every tomato taste contest. And we actually did one as Master Gardeners a few years back, and Brandywine won it, you know, just proved that it really is the best tomato. And you have how many of those?
52.
Oh my.
So we've got some of those. You could call that a sandwich tomato.
Absolutely.
Because one slice will cover the
a slice of bread.
Right.
That's right. Well, you know, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is wonderful. I definitely want to get you all to come back on, and we'd love to come out to the plant sale myself there on the April 27th out at the Agriculture Center from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I want to thank both of you all for coming on and sharing the information with us today.
Well, we're going to be looking forward to seeing you
All
at
right,
the plant
I'll be
sale.
there. All right then. So thank you all very much for being on the show today. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from West Georgia Help. I had on Carrie Gallion, and she talked about labor and delivery and the upcoming teen pregnancy workshop. So make sure that you go out and take full advantage of that. And also I had on from Troup County Master Gardeners, I had on Vicki Anderson, along with Patrick Bexton, as they talked about the upcoming plant sale that will be held at the Ag Center on April 27th. So come on out, bring some plants, and shop, shop, shop. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed those interviews. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.